Hi, I'm Lintock, the founder of Charity Excellence. This webinar effectively summarizes our own strategic work on the likely future impact of AI. In doing that, we have looked back to previous technological revolutions like Windows and the internet, and we've listened to those who are looking forward, such as the Cambridge Futurists, MIT Robotics, and we've brought that all together. What do we think? Well, in summary, this is going to be a massive change in every aspect of our lives, not just the charity sector. But like many tech revolutions that we've seen before, it's likely that the early hype is overhyped and isn't really going to happen, but that the longer term is potentially far more fundamental, and we don't even know what that will look like. So this is what we found. I'm starting by looking back. This is our resilience predictions based on our big data systems. Everything on the left of the graph is data. You can see COVID. You can see the cost of living crisis was deeper and longer. We got that spot on, sadly. It's recovering, but it's still going to be below where it was by the end of 2024. We won't see recovery until 2025 on any scale, if then. So we're in trouble. And there is a huge funding gap. It's been building up through the years of recession and everything else. So we need to deal with that. Is AI going to fix it? No, of course it can't. However, charities are massively overstretched. Demand has shot up. They're really struggling. And the vast majority of charities are just too small to have all the expertise that they might want and they might require, and they can't buy it in because they haven't got the funding. So how does AI respond to that? Well, it really does two things. The first, it removes digital debt. It gets rid of the nuts and bolts admin, and it frees you up to do much more of the great work that you do. It gives you a bit of a breathing space. Second element is it augments capabilities. It enables you to do far more than you can now. So that lack of expertise and that overwork, it tackles both of those issues, and potentially that will give us a big breathing space. We think it's the biggest opportunity that's happened to the sector in decades. If we move quickly, we adopt safely, and we do so effectively. So who's using AI now? Funnily enough, all the universities. My son lives on it. According to the ONS, about half of people have tried it. So if you're saying we don't use AI in my charity, I guess you may well be wrong. Business is up there as well. Charities are lagging behind. We're very conservative. We're small. We're not terribly tech. But only about 4 in 100 are building it into their core activities. So we've a long way to go. And there are big risks. The super large charities building digital moats with overwhelming dominance in areas like fundraising. At what I call AI roadkill, those that fail to adapt may pay a price for that. And there are risks in using generative AI for everyone. And if you think that you don't use it, you will be using it. And even you may not even know you are, but this is coming for everyone. So there's stuff, and we can't just ignore this. So digital moats. We first raised this issue post-COVID. There was a very big surge in digital fundraising. If you unpack the numbers, it was the large charities that took the lion's share. With their very large capable digital teams, they can do this kind of thing. And what we said is we stole this from Warren Buffett and his economic moats. And he was talking about organizations like Amazon that simply become so huge that they have corporate knowledge and economies of scale that no one can compete with any longer. And they simply own the market. And what we're saying is that those charities with those very, very capable digital teams and the money to invest in it If they move into AI, and I can tell you they're building it now, there is a risk that they will become super dominant. And if they do that, there is always going to be space for the wee charity shaking the tin outside Tesco's. But the ones in the middle, the super large charities take 90% of the income already. If they manage to ramp up their income, there isn't any more fundraising out there. They're going to have to take it from someone else. And organizations like Cancer Research and Marie Curie have already come out and said, we are investing substantially in our fundraising. We need a lot more money to get our job done properly. I don't disagree with them, but I don't want to see it coming from the smaller charities. So we think this is a genuine risk, and that the way to level that playing field is to move everyone to AI so that there's fair competition in there. AI roadkill, our services are absolutely excellent, and AI simply can't replicate them. You can't feed pussycats or homeless people. It is a great answer, and I'm not disagreeing with it, but it's arguably the wrong question. The question is, what do your beneficiaries want? And that's often about a range of factors. So you need to start from there. What do they want? They want phone calls and emails to be responded to. I can tell you from phoning charities, getting charities to answer the phone is a real struggle. I struggle to answer the phone for my charity. They need a service when they need it, not when it's available. If they need help at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, that's when they want that service. Limited cost and time. If they pay you for that service, or they have to pay a tube or a bus fare, or they have to travel for 2 hours, then they want that to be as easy as possible. And they want the breadth of services and information they want, not just what you can provide. And you say, well, yeah, you can't get it. But I'm saying this is what people want. So think about, what is it your beneficiaries want, and how do we best meet those needs? So AI roadkill questions, things that should ring alarm bells. We haven't changed in the last 50 years. We keep doing what we've always done. If you haven't changed in the last umpteen years, you probably need to. It's not relevant to us, and we don't do techie stuff, so we don't need to bother about it. If you're not looking at what's coming down the road at you, you're running a real risk. Duplication and overlap. Are we duplicating services that exist elsewhere? Are we overlapping with other services? We're not unique, which is kind of the same. We get paid because people can't afford to pay. So if you're being paid, that kind of mitigates. Or you've got very high unit costs. We do a fantastic service. Each office level service is costing us £40,000 a year. Yeah. And physical work. Clearly, if you're feeding the pussycats, the computer isn't going to come out and feed a pussycat. So there's physical work involved in it. Yes, there's clearly an issue there. These are just top level. The Roadkill Toolkit will walk you through these in detail, and you can have a think. And it's about getting you to think, where are we? How are we operating like that? Where do we think those will be most impacted? Grants directories. Do we think they're going to disappear? No. We've risk assessed all our own directories. We do not see that at all. Our experience with AI is we have seen one organization attempt to set up an AI bot like ours. It didn't last very long. You can't simply scrape websites and drop them into AI systems. It just doesn't work. It needs to be curated. However, there is nothing to stop using AI to go out and find grants as long as you've got that human interface. So we think grant directories will remain. Asking ChatGPT, even if it was up to date, to find the grants for you, I really don't think that that's really going to work unless you know what you're doing already. So we think grant directories will remain, but we think AI-driven research systems will become standard at some point. helplines. They're expensive to run. They're closing already. Loads of people are having to shut their helplines. And they're not available all the time. And that one person on the helpline can only answer so many questions. They do bring a human voice, and a human voice is critical. Our experience with our systems is, yes, people love them and they tell me how much they like, etc., etc., etc. But we are a people-driven sector. It's all about people in the end. And what we find is when you put a human as some kind of interface with the charity excellence systems, they work far, far better. So we're not talking about you losing humans, but helplines are really expensive. Resources behind paywalls. If I've got a Nobel Prize economist and he's writing stuff for me about where the world economy is going to go next year, I have unique, nobody else has got it, and it is extremely commercially valuable. People will pay to come behind my paywall. If what's behind your paywall can be replicated by AI, be it policies, guides, blah, 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 actually, AI can do that and it will go and do it, and it doesn't need any help. So if you're running a business model with paid paywalls, you need to think about what you're doing. What is it you're doing that is genuinely unique and genuinely valuable to your stakeholders? And fundraising. The report out today, 8th of February, about fundraising jobs going. I disagree with that. I do not think the jobs are going to go in this sector, but unquestionably, everybody wants fundraising. And it's where people are prepared to spend money. So the commercial companies building their AI systems, this is going to be something that they will definitely be looking at, how you can use AI and how they can sell you AI-capable fundraising systems. These are the kind of areas we think we're going to see change. In the longer term, we're likely to see AI bots, not like a Charity Excellence tech bunny that will talk all about parrots and charities and stuff like that, but AI bots for you personally. It will be your bot that knows all about you and what you don't like, and what you don't like, etc., and that kind of thing. And the real opportunities are mentoring, face-to-face training provision, so that you log in and you work with your bot and the bot will adapt to you and what you know and how you respond to give you the very best possible training experience. It'll be like talking to a real human being, and you can have it anytime, 24/7. They are already building bots that do these in places like Harvard. These already exist. They're not widespread. So these are the kind of areas we think things will be impacted. Does that mean that all the people employed in those areas are going to get booted out? No, it doesn't. So here's an example. Our main information hub, we tap into and promote across the entire charities, across the planet. We've got Harvard University's Project Implicit in there. It is hugely popular in the in-system feedback reports, and it is the largest in the sector by orders of magnitude because it's not charity excellence resource base, it's the charity sector's resource base. Everybody absolutely loves it. It took me 5 years to build it. In 4 months, the AI bunnies effectively made the entire thing redundant. That's the difference they made. I ain't got a problem with it. What we've got's now better. The bunnies, as an example of what bots can do, they hopped off and burrowed into all the main websites, Charity Commission, HMRC, CIPD, whatever you like. I just pointed them all the websites, went, go get that stuff, and curated it and uploaded it. They can now answer about 20,000 non-profit questions. And when I mean non-profits, I mean CBCs, cooperatives, all that kind of stuff as well. They get 90% success rate in answering that. They are available 24/7. I've just put currently helping 4,500 people a month. Actually, they're not. They hit 5,000 today for the first time. They can, however, answer up to 120 queries a minute, and they cost me nothing. That has huge huge potential for the sector. And we see bots as one of the areas where we are most likely to see widespread deployment. We have built 40 knowledge bases for the charity sector, and we have trained them all the way through since 2022. So we know that they're working really well, and we have the opportunity to work with people and to share those and to make that work for everyone in the sector. So this is the kind of thing that's coming. And lots of people say, are you a real bunny? The answer is they are real bunnies. This is Mini Me. The other one who lives in the system is Mini Ding. They're both upstairs. They're having lunch at the moment. And they come across as really, really human. So if you say to the website bunny who looks after families and individuals, I'm about to be made homeless, it'll connect you to crisis. If you say I'm queer and I'm about to be made homeless, it'll go, you're a member of the LGBTIQ+ community, and it'll send you to Stonewall Housing. If you say I'm trans and I'm being abused by my partner, it will send you to Gallup, who most people probably have never heard of. If you say my husband's abusing me, it will send you to Rape Crisis. If you say a man online wants me to take my clothes off, yes, I do get that coming through on the training sessions. The bunnies will then send you to Childline so that you can find people who will protect you. So they can respond in that way, in a very, very human way. And yes, they do try to scrounge carrots off you. So there are also risks for all of us in using this stuff. Scams and disinformation will become far, far more sophisticated. And that poses a real risk to our work. Think about vulnerable older people, younger people, women being subject to abuse. This is going to get more sophisticated. The Andrew Tates of the world will be able to deploy stuff that's far more convincing. So this is a big deal for us. And there are risks to us. Partly that's about things like scam attacks. More broadly, it's about things like falling trust. If you can't trust what you're reading online or what's phoning you up or stuff like that, then you will trust the internet and everything less. And that will mean for a lot of charities who are trying to get their messages out across the internet, it will be more difficult to get traction with people because people just don't trust the internet itself. Huge changes in apps and software. So you will use your CRM or your social media management system or this, or you may be using Google Nonprofits, et cetera, they are all going to change and they will all work in different ways. It may be that system over there, you don't need it anymore. Or it may be there's a system over here that suddenly becomes vastly more powerful. Well, how do you know it's vastly more powerful? How are you going to exploit that? Where is the ethics in this? So for example, if you're using image generation, how are you going to be transparent about that? And, if you copy the Marvel superheroes, where are you ethically on that? Because that was someone else's creative work, and the built-in discrimination, the risks around that. Are they threatening us? Are they threatening other people? We are going to have to adapt to that kind of new world, and we're going to need to negotiate our way through that world. And the impact on poverty and mental health. One of the risks we've highlighted in AI is loss of human agency. I haven't got anything against Amazon, but the example, again, that people will quote is the Amazon, where you can only have a 3-minute toilet break, where companies are increasingly using software to monitor people very, very, very closely. If you remove human agency, that is the rights and opportunities to make decisions. We just need you to do exactly as you're told. If you do that to people, and it is going to happen, then that's very, very damaging to them. And actually, you won't get the best out of the AI. But there are no doubt companies out there who are going to do that. What does that mean for the future of mental health? How is AI going to change our approach to that? What's it going to do with poverty? So AI actually can open accessibility up hugely. our plan for our single concierge service will mean if you're blind, you can still use the bunnies. If your primary language is Gujarati, you can still use the bunnies. So and they can talk to people in a way that's very normal, that they can. So they're going to increase accessibility, but there are people who cannot access or who will not access systems. Will they be disenfranchised? Where is the new poverty coming? What's it going to do to salary rates? Are people doing this job going to get pushed down a bit? And will people like the private sector use it to cut jobs? So this is such a fundamental impact on society that it's not just about the tech, it's about what it does to people and the way in which they change in response to that. And for us as charities, things like impact on poverty, mental health, that will change the future in some way. So those changes in how and who is excluded and how they get access to services, that will change. So the question will be, what will that look like? And you put all of that together, and nobody knows what this will look like, but these are the kind of things that will slowly begin to emerge. So what will the future look like? It does those two things we really need. It can reduce workload within charities, and it can augment skills in charities where we haven't got that in-depth specialist skill. We think it's the biggest opportunity the sector's had in possibly decades, and we think it's pretty much the only thing on the horizon we've got to push back against that funding gap. And it is not a threat as long as we adopt to it quickly, safely, and effectively. We can't just crash in, because it can't do what we're really good at. Ultimately, it is not going to replace you. And we see the future. You know, well, you're not going to replace me. You just told me you were going to get rid of grants directories and call lines and all that kind of thing. No. What I said about that human interface, all of the pilots and work we've done with Charity Excellence, I just cannot see how you can take people out for two reasons. One, we are a people-driven sector, and two, it cannot do what people do, and it cannot build things like empathy. So what we see the future is hybridized services. They work better, they reach more. That's what we think is a way ahead for us. So how will the way we work change? What we call strategic beneficiary focus benefits charities and individuals. And what I mean by that is that there are 500,000 charities, non-profits in the UK, and they're all shouting about their services. What we've seen is, for example, in an area like laptops, there'll be one in Edinburgh, there'll be one for refugees, there'll be one for children, this one's for the UK wide, this one does that one does training, this one's got data, and they're all different. And what I've found is we're now getting charity advisors and councils sending increasing numbers of people to Charity Excellence to help them with laptops. It's not what we do, we just fall into it. And it's a wall of noise. And I talked to an ex-prisoner, and I think he had mental health or drug issues, and he had problems, and he was trying to find a laptop, and he was trying to get himself a job. He was stuck in a bed set. He couldn't find it. He couldn't make head nor tail of it. And so what we've done is we just put all this stuff on a web page to help them because they couldn't log in. And that web page is getting about 6,000 hits a month. And it's not our thing at all. And the problem is the individual out there can't find what he needs or she needs. But the child that was on the website, Man Online wants me to take my clothes off. The board said, why are the children on our website? We don't support children. We don't support individuals. And I went, I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is that child didn't know about Childline. Not for any lack of effort on Childline's part, don't get me wrong, but there is just so much out there and so many and so niche that the people that we want to reach, they can't find us. So what AI can do is it can get around that. So that's what we've done with the bunnies. I'm queer and I'm homeless. I'm trans and I'm being abused. We're using AI and it's basically turned the bunnies into a clearinghouse. So if you go to the bunnies, we don't give anyone any help. What we do is we send them to the people that do give them help. And we do the same with charities. So the charity, tiny little charity in Shetland that needs marketing support, can't find it, they don't know how to do it. Pimp My Cause are a commercial company in London who do great work and they've got a great little system and they connect people. We just put the two together. And we see AI as a strategic tool for the sector. And the gateway that we're planning to build in 2025 means that what you do is you turn up at the gateway and the AI gateway says, this is who you need to speak to. It makes the whole charity sector system far more efficient and a lot less waste. And it helps all of us. We think this is a big opportunity for us. Also, driving productivity by automating the mundane and augmenting our capabilities. What do I mean about that? Automating the mundane. You get a report on mental health. I would like you to write a report for the board. Boom, 500 words. I would like you to do a web page. I would like you to do a newsletter. I would like you to do social media, etc., etc., etc. And you can get all of that stuff produced by a junior member of staff who doesn't necessarily know a great deal about it. And you can get through that stuff much, much more quickly than you could before. And augmenting capabilities, and this is Chief Exec down. I used it to augment my capabilities in an argument with the Charity Commission, and they lost because I had ChatGPT and I had it do all the stuff that I needed it to be done. So it can augment our capabilities. So if you don't really understand social media a great deal, you can say, I've got a young audience, what are the best platforms, what are the best days, what are the best times, could you write things for me? And it will suddenly let you do things that you didn't know you were able to do. So those are the two big things that it's going to do for us. We're going to see leaders focusing much more on strategy, reasoning, and judgment. The nuts and bolts stuff, you don't need to do that so much. So there will be much more about that thinking aspect. That potentially allows people in top high pressure jobs a bit more breathing space to do the thinking that needs to be thought through. And using AI to find opportunities that humans turn into impact. The AI can't do it all, we do it. So this is what we think a good future would look like. And what skills are you going to need to make that future a reality? It's the ability to add value beyond what can be automated. What do you do that isn't subject to being automated? So, judgment, insight, moral reasoning, analytical, creative, innovative thinking. AI can give you a whole long list of fundraising ideas and it can give you the ice bucket challenge. AI cannot tell you what the next ice bucket challenge will be because it hasn't got the creativity. It can't do that. That will come from a human. And our fundraisers are endlessly inventive. AI is not going to be able to take that off them. So these are the kind of things where we think it will be really, really important. And this is where we can add value. And actually, when you begin to look at the kind of things that AI can replace, it's the stuff that we're good at, and it's the stuff that we enjoy doing. The stuff it takes away from us is the boring stuff. We need to be comfortable about operating in a digital environment and continuously adapting. Nobody knows where this is going. They are pouring billions and billions into this stuff. AI in 2 years' time is going to be massively, massively different to what it is now. So we need to get used to this stuff. It's going to keep changing. So it's not about the same old, same old, same old. So, you know, those boards that think that they're digital ninjas because they're using Zoom, sorry, that's not digital transformation. We do need to get really comfortable around this kind of thing. And a question, not the rise of the robots, the rise of the youngsters. I mean, how often young people, you know, you get done out of the job or you get done out of the promotion because you're just really, you're kind of young and we just don't give important jobs to young people. You can't trust them, you know. But ChatGPT came in November 22. So there aren't really anyone that understands this stuff pre that date. And the young people coming out of universities and going into jobs right now are actually really quite good at it. So the question I would ask you is, when you sit down at a job, you may have a lot more experience in that field than they do, but this is going to be a key skill. And for the senior people, you need to understand this so you can manage them effectively. But might it be that the people that get those jobs in the future aren't the ones with 20 years experience, but are the ones with 5 years experience in AI because it's become so fundamental? I don't know. I suspect not, because old people like me run the world and we're just not going to let you do it. So, impact on the charity job market. Some mundane roles will go. I'm still not convinced by that. I think certainly in the private sector, people are doing things like writing web content. Yeah, I can see that getting wiped out. In the charity sector, people are so hard pressed. I'm not convinced at all. And I think in the event that someone's in a job where it is actually genuinely completely redundant, they're just likely to be re-rolled into something else. I think that's my guess of where it's going. I'm not saying they won't, but I just don't think it's a major deal. Almost all roles will change significantly, including chief executives. This is not something your staff do. You're going to be part of this too. Less admin, achieve more, but we do need to think about roles and structures. So the job boundaries and the grades and what they do, that's going to move. What may be key issues within that is going to shift. So it's not just about that job and that job and that job. We actually need to think about how we run organizations and how we structure organizations in order to make them work well. Is AI an IT department thing? I am not convinced by that. It may well not be. And new roles we don't yet know about are going to appear. And there's widely accepted that some ridiculous percentage of jobs in the next 10 years will be jobs that currently don't exist right now. We're going to see big changes. Are we going to see the old jobs disappearing? I don't think so. We looked back. I'm of vast age, one foot in the banana skin, another in the grave. And I remember Outlook arriving and the internet, and we just looked at it and went, PAs are finished. They all went through paper diaries and phoned each other, and then got to the end and it fell apart and you phoned round again, and then they typed it up to the boss, and we're going, well, if you've got Outlook and you've got the internet, there will be no PAs in the future. With virtual PAs, there are more PAs now than there ever were in the 1980s and 70s. So the jobs we thought would disappear, there's more of them than ever. And we kind of think that's the sort of thing that we're going to see here. So the PA today is a vastly different beast to PA in the 80s. The PA in the 80s was really good at typing. We'd spend a lot of time phoning and organizing things. The PA today doesn't do any of that stuff. They're focused on much, much more valuable work in supporting. So it's a much better job. And I think jobs in the future are going to be much more interesting and much more productive. And what about who we recruit and how much we value existing experience? How important will that ability to navigate and understand AI be? I mean, it's not going to get rid of things, because when Excel came in, they talked about, well, that's the end of the bookkeeper and all the others, and they're all gone. I mean, who's going to need accountants anymore? In actual fact, we've got just as many accountants as we ever had in the past. The skills they have are different. What you need to be an accountant now is not at all the same as being good in accountant or financial controlling or bookkeeping 30 years ago. The job has fundamentally changed and changed for the better. We think more of that. But how are we going to recruit? You know, budgetary expertise and staff management have all been really, really valued. To what extent is things like AI and digital skills going to go up and say these are priorities as well? We don't know yet. And I had a game. I decided to come up with some future job roles. Reality counsellors, supporting mental health for young people living in a computer-generated world. Relationship coaches, helping older people to relate to their robots. Data detectives, finding problems in data. AI philosophers, to help designers navigate the moral challenges created by AI, the kind of thing that we're doing with our design principles, going, you know, where's the ethics in this? People that will build the new virtual environments that we're going to operate in. ChatGPT whisperers, who tell their charity stories to AI in a way that enables AI to create really compelling content, inputting the creativity to it. And you look at that and you go, but actually that isn't completely new. If you look at who is being supported, and if you look at the skills that you will need to do that, they're not fundamentally different. And so what I'm really arguing here is, yes, these are new jobs, but also they're not new jobs. They're a bit like the PAs of the 1970s. No, they're not phoning round. No, they're not doing the typing any longer. But fundamentally, the PAs are still exist, but they operate in a different and much more capable way. And we think that's the kind of thing that we're going to see, so that these roles will begin, and we will slowly, bit by bit, see people changing, and your job will change and it'll differ. Is this right? Almost certainly not. I asked ChatGPT, what did it say? And this is what it said. It doesn't think it can do this stuff either. Things like ethics, you know, that isn't a number crunching answer. Ethics is about subjective information. So that's what ChatGPT said about it. What does that mean for us? Well, artificial general intelligence is when it becomes super intelligent and becomes more intelligent than us. And then you get into stuff like goal divergence, in which case we become replaceable. There is debate amongst thinkers about whether that will ever happen. It's not a given. But what we think unquestionably will be the case, it is going to fundamentally change the way we work, and in ways we almost certainly don't yet foresee. I can kind of paint ideas and pictures. Hopefully they're not a million miles out, but guaranteed there will be stuff out there that we just haven't even thought about now. But it's about significantly deepening our relationship with technology. So that is what we did strategically. That is what we think is happening. I would urge you to save this video and to play it back in 5 years' time. And if nothing else, it'll give you a real laugh. Thank you.